being here. So tonight, like I said, we're going to be talking about the lifting of our hands and just how difficult sometimes it could be to lift up your hands when you do not have a reason to praise whatsoever. And even in our daily lives, doing our jobs, if you have kids, dealing with your kids, just dealing with life in general, it's hard to keep your hands up, especially when you keep getting beat and you keep losing. It's hard to keep your hands up. Because what is it? Usually winners are the ones with their hands up, right? Every time a boxer, whoever wins, they lift your hand up and the other guy, it's lifted down. And there's a lot of times in life where we feel that way. We're like, man, these people keep winning and I just keep losing. Like, when is my time gonna come? You know, when is my time gonna come where I can lift my hands up and say, I finally won. You know, I'm finally did something. I finally won something, you know, especially just these daily battles that we go through. And just how exhausting it could be to keep them there, because that's the hard part. Once your hands are up, it's hard to keep them up here because you get tired. You get tired of fighting, you get tired of going through this life, you get exhausted, you get tired of following Christ, you get tired of going through his ways. It gets exhausting sometimes because we don't see the fruit, we don't see the answers, we don't see anything coming from it. So when that happens, we just get tired even quicker, like, you know what, I'm just putting my hands down, I'm done. You know, I'm done with this, I'm done keeping my hands up because nothing's happening. And we think about how hard it also is just to meet people's expectations. Because everyone has an expectation of you and what you do, no matter what. Whatever it is, if you are a person, you are living, there are certain expectations that people have of you, whether it's your parents, your brother, your sister, whoever it is. There are certain expectations that people have of you that you don't even know. And that's why sometimes some actually have more pressure than others, because you got the ones where it's like, well, you're the first one to go to college, you're the first one to this, so you have to graduate, because if you don't graduate, you failed your whole family because you're the first and you have to do it, kind of thing. And that's just an example, but there's also different pressures that we had, and that can get tired because that's always going to be in your head, and you feel like, man, if I don't get this done, I'm going to fail my parents, I'm going to fail God, I'm going to fail somebody. And there's the people that always want to make people happy. They always want to make people happy. They always want to, I don't want to upset anybody, I don't want to offend anybody. You are going to fail at some point if you're trying to keep people happy. You're not going to make everyone happy. You're not going to be able to meet everybody's expectations every single time. You're going to mess up sometimes. And that's where that part of keeping your hands up comes in. Even when you messed up, even when you failed, even when you cannot meet those expectations and you're just really feeling that pressure, the key is to keep your hands up, not to bring them down. Because when you bring them down, that is when it's over. You failed, the war is done, and that's when the enemy just keeps on coming on you. He'll come on you with your hands up, but he can't win. You can't win when your hands are up. He only wins when your hands are down. All right? And it also gets exhausting because there's some people that are in a position where it flows and runs through you, so if you stop, it all crumbles. Whether you're in some organization, whether at your job, in church, whatever it is, it's one of those things where you are the one that runs this, not necessarily runs this, but just you have that kind of personality that people want to gravitate to. And when you're in charge of something and you're leading something, people have expectations of you. And if you don't meet them, they get angry. They get mad, they start to complain, and it gets really annoying. So you're over here trying to keep your hands up and trying to lead these people, but with everything going on, all these people always constantly complaining and all that, it's easy for me to just be like, I'm done, I'm tired. I'm tired of this. I'm done doing this. I'm tired of this. And you tell yourself, I have to constantly keep everything together. That gets exhausting too. Constantly, I got to keep everything together because they're looking at me. I can't show any weakness. I can't show people that I struggle too, especially when in this kind of position. People think pastors are perfect and all this stuff. And no, they're not. The ministers of Christ that you see, these people are not perfect whatsoever. There's always a struggle. We will always struggle with something. You might overcome one, but there's always another one to overcome. And it ain't going to stop till you die and you go to heaven. But while we're here, there's always going to be a struggle that we got to overcome, especially that struggle with sin, whatever it is. We have to constantly just overcome it. And so there's times where we don't have the answers and people are always looking at you for the answers. Hey, what do I do with this? What do I do that? It's like, I don't know. I really don't know. Like even at work, like, hey, what do I do? It's like, I don't know. I don't have all the answers for you. But people get mad. They complain when you don't have all the answers. They get mad when you can't fix their life. You're supposed to fix my life. And that's how a lot of people in church view the ministers. You are supposed to fix me. Instead of looking towards, you know what, God, I want you to fix me. No, I want you to fix me. And we get fixated on the instrument. We get fixated on the tool, that God is using. We get fixated on them instead of being fixated on God. And we think, you have to fix me. And sometimes even the ministers put that pressure on themselves of, I have to change people. I have to fix people. That's just what I have to do. And God's like, no, I never called you to do that, ever. Only God's the one that can fix people, that can change people, this and that. I just told you to do what I'm calling you to do. But you can't control how people respond to me by how I'm using you. And that's another thing that just gets so frustrating when you're constantly pouring, you're pouring into something, and you're pouring into somebody, and even outside of church, just at your jobs, whatever, I'm constantly putting in, but I don't see the results of the work that I'm putting into this. And what happens? You want to stop. I don't see the fruit of this. I don't see, so I stop. I'm done. I didn't get what I wanted within 2 months, so I'm just done working hard. I'm done doing what I was doing before because nobody notices, and that's it. And we forget, though, that God notices. He sees all these things. That's why you need to keep that attitude of, you know what, I do this for the glory of God. I don't do this for man. When you have that mindset of, I do this for man, that's the attitude that's going to creep in. When you have the mindset of, I don't work for man, I work for God, things change. Now I'm not just doing this for man, I'm doing this for God because he's looking at me and I got to give it all that I have into it. And it gets tiring because we're like, man, I'm just doing what God called me to do, but I'm tired. I'm exhausted of this walk. I'm exhausted of just this, the Lord following you, and not necessarily you, but just dealing with the people. We're going to be speaking about Moses. Moses is someone who dealt with a lot of people, a lot of different personalities that were constantly coming to him, constantly complaining to him, constantly just, oh, Moses, what about this? Oh, Moses, what about that? Just always complaining, expecting him. You're the one who talks to God, so you're the one who has to have the answers. So fix this. We ain't got no food, fix it. We don't got water, fix it. Everything was you fix it, you fix it, you fix it. And there's some people that are in that position. Everyone always goes to you, fix it. I need you to fix this. And sometimes you don't have the answers. I don't know how to fix this. I'm just doing what God told me to do. And I'm going by this hour by hour, not even day by day. We're at hour by hour right now. Okay? And I could see Moses just getting so frustrated about that stuff. But one thing that people do is they feel like they cannot show weakness. They have to hold it all together. I'm the strong one. I cannot show weakness to anybody because if I show weakness, somehow it's going to hurt my ego or my pride or something. People don't like to say, you know what? I struggle. You know what? I'm weak in this area. I admit it. When us as Christian brothers and sisters, we all come together, we want to be like, no, everything's good. My marriage is good. My job is good. Everything's just good, man. I'm good. I ain't got no problems. I'm good right now. Instead of saying, you know what? My marriage isn't going well right now. Work is terrible. Not having a good time. I'm being overwhelmed and stressed out by my kids. Things just aren't going well, and it's making me want to go do things that I used to do, how I used to cope with stress and how I used to cope with these things. I want to go back to that, and I'm having that struggle between, God doing it your way or doing it my way, because I know my way, at least it worked for me in that instant. It wasn't a forever thing, and some people struggle with that back and forth of how I used to do things and how God is expecting me to do things now that I've accepted Him into my life. But people don't like to say that, especially leaders, people in leadership positions. I don't like to say that, you know what, I struggle. You know what, because the people see me in a certain way, and I don't want to change their perspective on how they see me. I want them to keep that image of me that they have, and I don't want them to see anything else. But God is always going to put people around you. He's always going to put people around you who you can tell, you know what, I struggle with this. You know what, this is what I went through this week, and I got angry. I did get mad. I struggled this week. You know what, I said a couple curse words. I got mad. you know? God's always going to put people around you to be there for you. It ain't going to be everybody. It's specific people that God puts around you. And you be careful of who you actually tell, especially people in those positions, who you tell, like, hey, I struggle with this and that, because not everybody's going to understand. But again, we don't like to change the image that people have of us. We do it in secret. We like to do it in secret. Nobody can know my secret. This is what I do when nobody's looking, and I don't want anyone to find out about it. But as we've seen, as in years, God always brings what you do in secret to the light. Yeah. And the problem is, the higher you are, the harder you fall. And it works the same way in Christ. The higher you are, the harder you're going to fall. That's why when you get to that mountaintop of where God has you, that you've passed so many levels, you're at a point where you're like, my hands are up. God, I followed you. I just feel great right now. I feel victorious. You need to watch out, because when you get to that mountaintop and your hands fall down and you look to your left and your right and there's nobody there to help you pick them up, you're going to fall. And since you're at that mountaintop, it's a really far drop. And it's sad when we see that, because we've seen it. We've seen ministers in high places, boom, fall. Why? Because God can't have that on his altar. God can't have this double life thing when you're speaking and pouring into other lives. He's like, I can't have this double life thing. I understand if you struggle, that's one thing, but when you're deliberately living in your sin, that is something different. This is something you're doing every day, this and that, you should be so uncomfortable living in your sin. It should not be something that you should get used to. It should not be something that you're comfortable with. And you need to pray to God, God, please make me uncomfortable in my sin. I find it so hard to stop, Lord. I find it so difficult to just turn away from it. You need to tell him, God, make me uncomfortable. Maybe to a point where I don't like feeling that way anymore. And we like to show that we are the perfect Christian. There isn't one person in this Bible that God used that was perfect. Not one. Every single person had a flaw and had a weakness. Every single one of them. And when we have trouble lifting our hands, we are reluctant to ask for help. We don't like asking for help. When you really think about it, you're like, do I really want to ask for help? No, I want to show that I can do it. I can do it by myself. I want to show people that I can do it by myself, and that's that. I'm not going to ask for help. I don't know where that came from. We want to think that we can just do it by ourselves, especially a vision that God has put on you, thinking I can do this myself. The vision was not meant for you to do it by yourself. You were meant to have other people around you when God gives you a vision, when God calls you out, when God, he puts people around you. You weren't meant to do it by yourself, and you're gonna need help. And when you ignore everybody, when you turn away from everybody and you just block out everybody because you feel like, I failed so bad, I don't want to look at anyone, I don't want to turn to anyone, I don't want to talk to anybody, you're by yourself. And what happens when you're by yourself? You start to do what you used to do. You start to do things in secret that nobody else knows on how you're coping with it. And when it comes that time where you need that help, you can't find it because you've turned it all away. You've turned all the help away. So now when it's time when you need it, it ain't there. So when your hands are up, people always want to gravitate towards you. When you're feeling good, I got money, I got this, I got that, my hands are up, I'm great. But once it's all gone and your hands are down, they leave. They're gone. They all want to point the finger. It happens every time someone fails or whatever, we want to point the finger. Oh, I told you he was this, I told you he was that, I told you she was this, I told you she was that. And instead of, you know what, we're going to help you get back up, we want to just point the finger and say, haha, you failed, you messed up. I knew this was going to happen. Especially those that, you start in Christ and you're going, and then you mess up somewhere and people, oh, I told you, oh, that was only temporary, it was only for a little bit, this and that. Well, no, man, this is forever. And yeah, I fell down, but I know who I got to run to when I fall. Mm-hmm. I run back to Christ. I don't just stay here in this hole, And one of the main things is it's really hard to lift your hands to praise when you have absolutely no reason to have your hands up. A A loser doesn't raise his hands up, right? You're not supposed to. It's like, why do you got your hands up, bro? You lost. Like, what are you doing? You know? Like, I'm supposed to have my hands up, you lost. You imagine in UFC, they both have hands up? Or no, they lift the one guy just, me too. It's like, you lost, bro. Like, what are you doing? You know? But in the spiritual realm, even when you're losing, you got to keep your hands up. Or at least when you feel like you're losing, because you're not really losing. It just physically it looks like you're losing. You don't know what's going on in the spiritual realm, though, of the battle that's happening. And it all depends on your praise and where your hands are. Are they down or are they up? So we're going to go to Exodus 3. Exodus 3, and we'll be starting at number 7. So we're all pretty familiar with the story of Moses. God calls him, I want you to free my people. I want you to bring them out of Egypt. I want you to do all that. And as we get into this and then a battle that occurs after he actually gets them out, we're going to be talking about that battle. But I want to talk about when Moses was called before this battle ever even happened and how God was already putting things in place before that battle occurred that we're going to be going into. So starting with 7, then the Lord said, I have observed the misery of my people in Egypt, and I've heard them crying out because of their oppressors. And I know about their sufferings. I have come down to rescue them from the power of the Egyptians and to bring them from that land to a good, spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey. The territory of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. The Israelites' cry for help has come to me, and I've also seen the way the Egyptians are oppressing them. Therefore go, I am sending you to Pharaoh so that you may lead my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. But Moses asked God, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and that I should bring the Israelites out of Egypt? So already Moses tells God, you know what? I'm not qualified. Not only am I not qualified, I don't want to. I know, like, you're calling me for that, but he's like, who am I out of the whole world? Out of the whole entire world, out of all of Israel and just the world in general, you're picking me to do this. Why? I don't want to do that. That's the world I came from. That's the world he came from. The pharaohs and all that. That's the world I came from. And you want me to go confront him to tell him, free my people? Like, really? That's what you want me to do. You couldn't pick someone else like that. You wanted to pick someone who was familiar with the situation. Because I saw what was going on. He did. Moses saw what was going on over there. That was his world. That's where he's from. And you want me to go back. And I feel like God picked Moses too, just to show that's why I picked you. You are familiar with what was happening over there, so I need you to go back because they need to see that you've changed. I need them to see what I've already done with you and what I'm going to do with you. Because sometimes when we leave that world that we were in, they don't believe, he went off and the whole Christ thing, and I don't know. And then you come back and they're like, oh, yeah, it's the real deal. He changed. And sometimes God makes those occurrences happen just to show, that what God did in me is real. What God did in me is, it wasn't a joke. It was real. And God puts those together. He arranges those situations for people to see where you came from. You come back and they say, that's not the same John anymore. Not the same one. That's a different one. But the thing is, I feel like Pharaoh was expecting maybe the same Moses, like, oh, hey, you came back. What's up, man? I didn't come here. I didn't come here for that. I didn't come here to say, I'm telling you, Moses felt bad for doing this. I try to put myself in his shoes, and it's like, you're going back to your world, and you're like, yeah, I came to pretty much free the slaves, the people you used to do the labor. They're coming with me. And you guys are like, yeah, like, okay, but the people that were being oppressed, and what happened? The Lord heard their prayer. So now we put themselves on that side of it. The people in Israel the people in Egypt are being oppressed. God hears their prayers, and so he lifts someone up to go free them. And some people are in that position of, Lord, look at me in my situation, look at me in where I am right now, and then God sends somebody to go speak to you. I heard your prayer. They were oppressed for 400 years. You think at some point they think God is ignoring us? He ain't listening to me? So if you're complaining about a month, think about 400 years. You'll be dead by then. But think about that. Let's put that in perspective. We get upset because God doesn't answer me within 2 weeks. These people have been crying out to the Lord for 400 years. And nothing until Moses comes. God chose Moses. Hey, the thing is, everything had to be set up. Moses had to be born. Everything was on a specific timeline of when this freedom was going to occur. And Moses was the key to this freedom. So without Moses, there's no freedom. So that's why I needed him to live when he was born. I needed all these things to happen because he's going to be the key to that freedom. So he asked him, who am I? I have no power. I have no credentials that you would even put me in that position to do that. And so it's funny because when I think of this, I'm like, I think the same way because I am not a very enthusiastic person. When I'm excited about something, I don't really show the proper response that you're supposed to give to it. And I'm like, Lord, you're calling me to, to serve you in this capacity of just spreading your word and all that. And I don't have that very, I'm personable, but I'm just not exciting. I'm really not. I'm not the guy that comes in and is like, yo, welcome to Sunday. How's everybody doing? That's not me. God speaks to you for that, but me, I'm just like, all right, guys, welcome Sunday morning. All right, let's get right to it. 'Cause I just want to start. I'm like, let's go do what we came here to do. I don't want to waste no time. Those are the excuses I give them. I'm like, I think you picked the wrong guy, man. I don't know. I'm not. You should have just stuck me at drums for my whole life. I don't know why you wanted me to call me from back there to up here, but it is what it is, because as we keep reading, we went through 11, so we'll go to 12. He answered, I will certainly be with you, and this will be the sign to you that I have sent you. When you bring the people out of Egypt, you will all worship God at this mountain. Then Moses asked God, if I go to the Israelites and say to them, the God of your fathers has sent me to you, and they ask me, what is his name? What should I tell them? Then God replied, Moses, I am who I am. This is what you are to say to the Israelites. I am sent me to you. God also said to Moses, say this to the Israelites, Yahweh, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has sent me to you, and this is my name forever. This is how I am to remember in every generation. He said, I am who I am. And you tell them, I am sent you. So they're asking, hey, who sent you? I am sent me here. Who's that? And I think the Lord picked that because whatever it is you're needing, he's there to say, I am blank. I am blank. You got to fill in the blank. I am, what do you need? God, I'm hungry. I am food. God, I'm thirsty. I am water. Lord, my finances are terrible. That's fine. I am the God of I own all the gold. I own the currency. What do you need? I am that. Okay? So when we go to Exodus 4, we're going to skip to 4. And we're going to start at 4. All right? Actually, we'll start at 1. So we'll skip to 4. We'll go to 1. So God pretty much keeps telling Moses what he wants to do with him. This is what I'm going to do with you. You're going to go to the Israelites. This is what you're going to tell them, and this is what you're going to do. All right? So then Moses answered, what if they won't believe me and will not obey me, but say, the Lord did not appear to you? People are always going to question what God is telling you to do. Always. That is a no-brainer. Every time God is calling, people say, well, how do you know God spoke to you? Because I know he spoke to me. It was a burning bush. Like, it doesn't get any, like, it don't happen nowadays that way, you know? But people are going to ask you, you know, this is what God told you to do. Like, you're positive, you're sure, this is what, and people are always going to question that. And Moses is already ahead of the thing. He's like, how are they going to know? All right, what if they don't believe me and will not obey me, but say the Lord did not appear to you? So what if I go to them and say, hey, God has sent me to bring you guys out, and they're going to be like, so how do we know the Lord appeared to you? And what if they don't obey me? What if they don't respond to what you have called me to do? And that's always a question we have. Lord, you're calling me to do this. How do I know that there's going to be, that people are going to respond to this calling of mine that you're telling me to do? And that's a fear of ours, because what? It ain't successful if there's no response. At least the response we want. In our eyes, in this physical world, the way we view success is what? Gains. Whether it's money, whether it's people, whether it is whatever it is, it's collecting. You are successful because you have a big house and you have really nice cars. In our eyes, you're successful, but they don't understand that all of that is owed to somebody else. They don't understand that they are living in the car and can't do anything else because they don't have anything else. And so our fear is, well, God, if you're calling me to do this, it needs to be successful, and the people need to believe. They need to believe that you have sent me to do this. So what are you going to do about that? How are you going to prove that you have called me out and show them that what you're doing with me is for real? Because sometimes you're going to cause you to do some difficult things, and you're going to ask, well, God, how are they going to respond to this? They don't see me that way. Especially that, because we knew somebody when we were a certain way, and then when we're coming at them from a different angle, they don't see me that way. So how, it's going to be weird. It's a weird encounter, you know? So, as we keep going to number 2, the Lord asked him, what is that in your hand? A staff, he replied. Then he said, throw it on the ground. He threw it on the ground and it became a snake. Moses ran from him, but the Lord told him, stretch out your hand and grab it by the tail. So he stretched out his hand and caught it, and it became a staff in his hand. This will take place, he continued, so they will believe that Yahweh, the God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has appeared to you. So how are we going to know? How are they going to know? I'm going to do wonders through that staff I just put in your hand. So wherever God is calling you, wherever he's taking you to, whatever he wants you to do, people are going to see that the Lord actually spoke to you by what he's doing through you. That's the key. Moses had the staff. I'm going to do miracles through you and that staff. That is how they're going to believe that I appeared to you, that I spoke to you. They are going to see the change. They're going to see the fruit. They're going to see what I have done with you while I had you separated for this long. So now when you come back, they're actually going to see, well, how do I know the Lord changed you? Look at me. Look what God is doing through me. Look at what God is doing with me. And it works the same way it works for Moses, the same way it works for us today. When God is calling us out to whatever purpose he has for us, well, Lord, how do I know that they're going to respond? They're going to see what I've done through you. They're going to see what I'm doing through you. They're going to see how I'm using you, and they'll have no other option but to believe it. Absolutely. There's just no other way. All right? So God is always going to put something in your hands to show that you were appointed by God. People will see what God is doing through you, through your hands, and what you're doing with your hands. Are you giving your hands to Christ? Are you keeping them high? Are you raising them? Or are you keeping them down here? And people are going to know when they see you with your hands up here. Now we'll go to 10, just verse 10. But Moses replied to the Lord, please, Lord, I have never been eloquent either in the past or recently, since you have been speaking to your servant, because I am slow and hesitant in speech. Lord, I have a weakness. You can't use me. I got a weakness. Sorry. Next. Pick the perfect guy. Especially because you want me to talk and stuff. Obviously, you got to have someone that knows how to do that. So you go pick someone that can talk. I can't. I'm slow to respond. I stutter. I'm not eloquent. I don't speak nice. There's better people out there that can do this. Just not me. Okay? And I think it's funny because Moses is having this conversation as if he's going to get himself out of it. He's trying to get himself out of the calling. But we do the same thing. We try to figure out a way to get out of it. Well, Lord, I mean, I'm not really, this ain't the time. This really is the wrong time for me to be doing this, and you're wrong. Wait maybe 2 years when I'm older, and I enjoyed my life and stuff and did what I want to do, and then I'll be ready to give my life to you. But right now, this whole pick somebody else. I have a weakness. My life ain't together. So you got the wrong person. Don't call me for this. Okay? Then the Lord said to him, who made the human mouth? Who makes him mute or deaf, seeing or blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go, I will help you speak, and I will teach you what to say. So Moses responds to him with, I have a weakness, and God responds to him to, I made your mouth. You don't think I know your weakness? The reason why I'm picking you is because you have that weakness, and people are going to see me through you even more, that I'm using you even though you have that weakness of, I just don't talk right. And I feel like God speaks to me like, don't you think I know you have that weakness where you just don't have that proper response to things, I know that. But they're going to see me through you in that weakness to show, I chose you. I called you. I will take care of those weaknesses. That verse that says God is strong in our weaknesses. That's where he likes to shine, in our weaknesses. Because the things that we're strong in, we don't really depend on him as much. But the things that we're weak in, oh Lord, come down here, please. Please come down here. Right? And sometimes, when we overcome weaknesses, it becomes our strength, there's always going to be another one. All right, here I am again. I got another weakness, Lord. Help me work through this. So Moses over here trying to talk himself out of the calling. All right? And he tells him, I'm going to teach you what to say. Okay? Then Moses says, please, Lord, send somebody else. This guy's really pushing it. Like, you have God in your face talking to you from a burning bush. And this is your response. You're like, nah, send somebody else, I don't want this, please just send somebody else. I feel like if God came down and spoke to me that way, I'd be like, yeah, what do you want me to do? This is crazy right now. Like, this is like, wow, and that's to show you that someone, and we always say like, man, if God came down and did this, I would do this. God came down that way, and there were still people that questioned what he wanted them to do. They still questioned it. Get me out, please send somebody else. And that was me. Me and my wife were just saying the same. Pick somebody else, please. Just let us serve somewhere, I'll preach maybe every 2 months or so, maybe once a month, and I'm good. I'm good like that. I'm comfortable there. I'm fine with that. But God's like, no, man, there's more. There's more that I want to do to you, with you beyond that. Now, there's some people that have a calling, but not you. And we get jealous of those. Like, man, why can't I just have that one? I want that calling. Can we switch callings? Can we switch that? Because I want that one. I just want the one that just goes and preaches and that's it, and leaves and they go back to their house and that's that. You don't actually have to like move people, you don't have to guide people. You just in and out. That's the one I want. And I was like, no, sorry. I tried to talk myself out of it. I was like, Moses, he's like, no, that's not what we're going to do here. That's not part of the plan. All right. So then the Lord's anger burned against Moses, and he said, isn't Aaron the Levite your brother? I know that he can speak well, and also he is on his way now to meet you. He will rejoice when he sees you. You will speak with him and tell him what to say. I will help both of you, him to speak, and will teach you both what to do. He will speak to the people for you, and he will be your spokesperson, and you will serve as God to him. So a vision has already been casted over Moses, and God, when he put that vision, he was already seeing who's going to be in place with that vision. And since he already knew Moses is going to have this weakness, you know what? In your weakness, I'm going to put somebody next to you to help you in your weakness. And we'll see later that I was talking about where Aaron's spot comes in. You know, and when God gives you that vision, he puts the right people around you for that vision to come about. Because the vision isn't just for you, Moses. There's other people that need to be involved in this vision that I have over you and the people of Israel. It's not just you by yourself. I'm going to put the right people around you so you can get this done. So the Lord sent somebody to be part of the vision he has for Moses. And then we're going to see, let's go to Exodus 17. Why God put Aaron next to Moses and other people too when we read this. So Exodus 17, and we'll start at number 8. Do you remember last week when I was talking about Esau and Jacob? Mm-hmm. The Israelites are from Jacob's line. And this battle is with the Amalekites. Those people are from Esau. And the thing is, God said from the beginning of time there's going to be conflict between them two. So here, when the Israelites are attacked by the Amalekites, and you're asking, why are they just getting randomly attacked? This goes back to those two brothers. There's always going to be conflict between two nations. And this is it. This is where it begins. Moses has never fought before. The guy's never been to battle. This is the first time we just get to the edge of Canaan here and we're getting attacked. Like, what is happening right now? You know? So Moses expresses his weakness. Okay? And we all have that. We all have that weakness. He sends Aaron. You know, you have that weakness, I'm going to put people around you. So, at Rephidim, Amalek came and fought against Israel. Okay? And at this point already, Moses already brought them to the Red Sea and all that. There has been so much complaining. Just so much exhaustion on Moses' part, I believe, where he's just about almost over it. And now we are getting fought against. This is what we've come to. And he's like, okay, so Moses said to Joshua, select some men for us and go fight against Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the hilltop with God's staff in my hand. This is where Joshua first comes up. This is where we first hear about him. And Joshua is the one who actually ends up bringing the Israelites to the promised land. But this is where Joshua got his start here. Okay? He said, you go to battle. All right? Bring some people to battle. I don't know if Joshua was a skilled warrior. Who knows? He just said, hey, Joshua, go bring them to battle. And then tomorrow I'm going to go stand on the hilltop with God's staff in my hand. So here's a battle coming. Okay? Moses didn't say, you know what, I'm going to take them on by myself. No, I need some help. Joshua, this is what you're going to do. Me, this is what I'm going to do. He didn't just take it on by himself. Bad things happen when we try to take on these battles by ourselves. You know, everyone in the vision has a purpose. But you have to allow people to function and work in their purpose for the vision to come about. You need to allow people to work in their purpose for the victory to come about over these battles. Okay? And so, Joshua selects some men, you know, and then tomorrow he stands on the hilltop. So at 10, Joshua did as Moses told him and fought against Amalek. All right? Now, while Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. So he goes to the top of the hill, and again, he didn't go by himself. I need help up here at the top of the hill. Because there's times in our life where we feel like we are on top of the world. We feel so good right now. with what we've just done. But again, if you get there by yourself, and you're there by yourself, you're going to lose. It's not a matter of just getting to the top of the hill. It's who are you bringing with you to the top of the hill? Because when it gets bad up there, you're going to need some people with you to help you out. And when you feel like, man, I got to do everything on my own, I got to do everything by myself, you're going to get to the hill all by yourself. And when it gets hard, you're going to fall. Because you had no one up there with you. So he brings Aaron. Remember Aaron? He started at the beginning. Okay? And he brings a guy named Hur with him to the top of the hill. While Moses held up his hand, Israel prevailed. When Moses had his hands up, he has his hands up, they're winning. Man, we're winning this battle, we're moving forward, this is good, we're getting there, my hands are up, awesome. And that's the same way when we have our hands up, man, I'm feeling good, this is great, we're winning, awesome, okay? But what happens? This gets exhausting after a while. This gets tiring. You know, we're tired of working. We're tired of just, God, this life that you have given me. Why didn't I just have the easy route like other people? We start comparing. I'm tired of this. Slowly, you get tired of fighting as it slowly just comes down. So as we keep reading, but whenever he put his hand down, they would start losing. Amalek prevailed. So while his hands are up, we're winning, but once his hands came down, they start losing. We see here when Moses has his hands up in praise, we're winning with the staff, but when my hands are down, we're losing. When I'm functioning, we're winning. When I'm not functioning, we're losing. And we're selfish when we say, you know what, God, I don't want to do what you call me to do. I don't want to do this. I don't want to listen to you or anything. We don't know what's going on in the background. We don't know the loss that is happening when you don't decide to function under what God has called you to function with. So while his hands are up, we're winning. Hands are down, we're losing. And again, sometimes you're going to have days where you do not want to lift up your hands. You do not want to praise God. You literally have to force yourself to put your hands up because you're angry. You're mad at God, Lord. It gets so hard to do this, even when we don't want to. But you have to. You want to know why? Because up here is where the battle is. The battle is in your praise. See, when you stop, that's when the enemy just totally takes over. Because your hands are down. The praise is gone. I can do whatever I want. I have free reign here. I'm starting to win. Okay? And at this point, Moses was just exhausted. He was tired. He was tired from where they started and where they are now. It just got so exhausting. He's like, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. You know? And so when this happens, when he puts his hands down, okay? When Moses' hands, this is verse 12, when Moses' hands grew heavy, they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat down on it. You need to rest. Moses, you need to rest, you need to take a break, and you need to sit down. That's number one. You've been doing a lot, you've been working really hard, it's time to rest now. So you need to chill. Okay? But we have this mindset of I just gotta keep on going. And then you get burned out, you get exhausted, and then what happens? The blow up. And we're like, where is this coming from? You know? Especially with the relationships, you're just like, where's this coming from? Like, what is happening right now? Well, because a month ago, it's like, whoa, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't know you were mad at that, you know? So, before this blow up, he's like, you know what, Moses, sit down. Okay? Then Aaron and Hur supported his hands, one on one side and one on the other, so that his hands remained steadily until the sun went down. So Joshua defeated Amalek and his army with the sword. So when Moses was tired, he had people there to help him. Okay? When his hands were down, he had people there with him to lift his hands back up and say, we need your hands up. Because when you're functioning, things happen. But when you're not functioning and your hands are down, we lose. When you're praising, things happen. When your hands are down, nothing happens. You lose. But God is always going to put the right people around you to help you lift your hands up when you feel tired enough that your hands are down, because you are tired and exhausted. And I'm going to keep repeating this. He will put the right people around you so that when you're down, we will lift up your hands. We'll take it from here. You need to rest. But there's people, even in the church, where they feel like, when I'm tired and exhausted, I don't have anybody here to help me pick my hands up, to lift my hands up. And if that's that person, you need to pray to God and say, God, I need people to help me. I need people to help me through this. I'm going through a really tough time. And again, we don't like to say it, but I need help, God, picking my hands up. I need someone on my left, I need someone on my right to help me lift my hands, God, so I can get through this fight and I can get through this battle, because I'm losing. I'm getting tired. But I'm so scared to tell anybody that I'm struggling. And so I keep it to myself, and next thing you know, I lost. And we ask, man, what happened? Like, what? You were just here last week and I lost, man, because I didn't seek help. I didn't seek out people to help me lift my hands when they were down. So when that happens, we what? We lose. And it's interesting because, again, it's one of those things where that pride comes in, that perfect Christian mindset comes in, where I don't want to tell anybody I'm struggling. We're not here to judge you. We're not here to point the finger at you. We are here to build and equip each other for the kingdom of God. And that's it. So if you need someone to lift your hands up, there are people here that can help you lift your hands up, because you are just tired or you just don't want to. I need help. I'm tired. So when his hands are up, we're winning. But when we're down, especially people in those leadership positions, man, they need people there to lift those hands up when they feel so exhausted and tired, so that they can keep on prevailing and taking enemy territory. You know, if God is calling that person to guide people into Christ, instead of keeping them down, because then what? Then the enemy starts prevailing on you in your life. And then everything starts to unravel and things just get out of control. So if anything I can leave you with tonight is, don't be afraid to tell I'm struggling. This is a battle that I feel like I'm losing, and I need help. I need people to help me raise my hands because I'm exhausted. Who's going to be the one to put that stone under me so I can sit? Because sometimes we need people to tell us, you need to sit, because you don't realize it. You don't realize it, but people see it. You're exhausted. You need to sit. You know, we'll raise up your hands. We'll help you out. We're here with you, but you got to keep your hands up. There's people to help you, but you're the key here to the victory. So we need to keep your hands up for us to be victorious. Let us stand up.